He showed me sketches because they asked him to do Resident Evil. I thought I was hired, okay? But then he called me again at like 10:30 and I'm in bed, you know. Says, well, it's George. And then I never got another call. And then George eventually was out of the picture.
When we were working, he was very, very focused. He seemed very much into what he was doing, but I always felt like there was this quiet sadness about him. And I always thought, well, maybe he's just an introvert.
I like to think that George would have come up with something really disgusting and shocking and really that got under your skin.
As soon as that meeting was over, as soon as we were out of that door, George had nothing to do with Resident Evil in any way, shape, or form ever again. The way that it ended for George and Resident Evil was so hurtful to George. He never talked about it ever again.
He said that whenever he got pulled off the project, he's like, they didn't like my take, I'm paraphrasing, but they didn't like my take on something that I kind of came up with.
Brace yourselves. It's happening again. That same sense of horror. That same moment of silence before death explodes. No one can stop him. No one can escape him. A bludgeoning fury, no longer human, creating a nightmare of blood again and again. His trail, a cloud of terror. His trademark, the severed arm. Starring Deborah Wally.
He's already killed 2 men. He's mutilated a 3rd. Now what the hell do you want, lady?
There's a lot to scream about in The Severed Arm. Rated R.
We're back on the Drive-In Asylum double feature after watching 13 tracks to frighten Agatha Black. And welcome back to the program, director Bradley Steele Harding and composer Andrew Jones.
Thank you guys for doing this. Thanks for watching the film with us. It's been a while since I've seen it. And it's nice to have the drive-in people watch with me. So.
Yeah, the true heads are out. I think this is the audience to like watch the movie with for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it looks like you guys, the chat room is pretty happy with the movie. You got a good reaction. They'll let you know if they don't like it, trust me. So you guys can feel pretty good. You didn't get the...
I think Tracy is the sole dissenter so far.
Yeah.
Tracy's gonna have to watch it again, I think. Again and again until,
Yeah.
Right. I think so too. I pick up a lot every time I watch it. That's the honest truth. Like the first time I watched it through, it really defied my expectations of what it was going to be. So it took another viewing of it. I was like, well, now that I know what this movie is going to do, I can appreciate it for the way that it really is. And I do think it's really interesting and unique in a very good way, in a let's scare Jessica to death way.
I'm trying to answer some of the talkbacks, but my phone's not working with me. But.
Oh.
One of the questions Sean asked, has this been shown at a drive-in yet?
No, not yet, but that would be great. Hopefully we can get some kind of a drive-in screening. I would love that. That would be very cool.
Yeah. And he also said that he thought the hippie vampire track was catchy, so that's quite kind.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, originally, I do have a story for the drive-in people. That song was originally written for Anitra Ford, and who was in Messiah of Evil. I'm sure everyone here, I'm sure most of the people here are familiar with Anitra Ford, and Orville Stober, who it was the composer of Let's Scare Jessica to Death. He's also a singer, and I knew both of them. I had interviewed both of them independently for Fangoria at one time, so I was connected to both of them. And so originally we wrote this song with them in mind because Anitra does a lot of spoken word poetry on her blog, or she did, and Orville Stober has an amazing voice. So he has released several albums. He's a wonderful singer as well as being a great composer. So we wrote that with them in mind for doing the duet, Hippie Vampire. That fell through, but it was a cool connection, and they're both aware of the movie, and Anitra has seen the movie, and she really liked it. So I was able to at least have a conversation with her, and she read the script, and she liked the script, but she wasn't able to work with us at the time. So anyway, that was kind of a cool thing. Anyway, just a little backstory on that song. And Andy ended up recording it, and he did a great job, and I love the song. And
yeah, that was the temp vocal. Like, that wasn't supposed to be it. So when it ended up being the one in the movie, I was feeling really self-conscious because I was like, oh, I didn't even really, really like get in the zone, because I was like, oh, I'm just laying out something for Orville to lay down. But we did get Kelly Palmblad to do the female vocal on it. She's a really amazing musician and like incredible vocalist out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. So yeah, that was a cool opportunity to work with her on it. And I saw someone say, I was Mike in the chat was talking about the tune that is over the driving lesson that Agatha gets. I don't know, House of Psychotic Women. I'm going to check it out now, though, because if that's the music that's in it, that's cool. I was really worried that people were going to say that it was like too like Twin Peaksy or like Angelo Badalamenti, but so that makes me very happy that there's some other point of reference that we can point to say that was it.
Yeah, those kind of things kind of snuck up on me the second time that I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, these unusual choices for the music, and even the whole audio design is very unconventional, but it works for it. I mean, it really gives the film sort of its own unique universe, which is, I guess, the whole point.
I think the thing that was most interesting was watching it with you guys, where Andy, you're like, the lady that played the aunt is like a super nice woman. So like when she turned up the character while you were watching it, you're like, I'm shocked how horrible she could be from knowing her otherwise.
Yeah, she plays that part really well. And yeah, then I thought I was kind of alluding to this before we got started. She read the story Ghost House when Agatha is leaving the crack house for the first time. That's such a great reading too. And she just did that one take, and it was pitch perfect.
That's amazing. Also, I learned that if you want to get good wraps, the restaurant that they meet at is the place to get wraps. That's the other thing you guys taught me. And it was kind of like having a commentary track just for Bill and me as we watched it. So that was pretty
right. Yeah. Go to this bar for the veggie wraps.
Yeah.
Anyway, wanted to go back. Tracy, someone didn't understand the movie. It's fine. It's weird. It's a weird movie. Not everyone's going to understand it or even care. I mean, we knew that going in. It was a little weird, so I appreciate anybody watching the film, and whatever you take away from it, I appreciate your time, spending the time, because we took a long time making this movie, whatever you think of it. So I just appreciate eyes on it, you know, in any conversation about it at all, because we had a lot of conversations. We really thought about this, you know, whatever you think. So.
And Nora asks, where can we purchase the soundtrack? I think that's a good place for you guys to let people
Oh,
know.
well, Andy can.
Yeah, a little plug. Yeah, it's on Bandcamp on 13tracks.bandcamp.com. You can get a digital version there, and we're kind of gauging like what the interest is there. I have a little record label that I'll release stuff that I've produced on, and if there's enough interest for like the digital version, we'll press it to vinyl. And the vinyl version, if you buy the digital version, you're not going to be getting the same thing twice. It'll have expanded liner notes, some behind the scene photographs, and an expanded track list with alternate cuts of some of the takes, because the score was totally improvised to film. So we have multiple takes of all the pieces of the score. So and the score features, I play like a little guitar on it. Jesse Chandler, who plays with the band Midlake, for the people who are in the UK, that you'll probably be hit to Midlake especially. He plays with Mercury Rev. He just got off a tour with Beth Orton, and also played with Madison Cunningham and won a Grammy for like Best Folk Album this year. So that was a huge get. He's on it. He plays flute and a lot of the keys. And a couple of Dallas folks, Raymond Muski's on drums, and Bob Cummins Jr. plays piano. And yeah, you'll hear more from what is on the digital version on the vinyl version if that ever happens. But we kind of need to see if enough people are into it with like streams and purchases of the a digital version. So yeah, 13tracks.bandcamp.
Is there any colored vinyl available?
There could be in the future. We might get some.
There might be
some slime green or Agatha orange or something. We'll figure
Skeletal
out. Skeletal
white.
Yeah, yeah, skeleton glove white.
Right.
Well, I for one can't wait to get my hands on some Agatha black vinyl.
Yeah, that would be
pretty
great.
awesome. What about the albums in this movie? They obviously weren't real. Like, unfortunately, Tales About Zombies and Witches.
Right. You know, we created most of the album covers. We peppered them. We peppered some of the records in the background with some actual records, but the ones that we actually use, we created. My husband actually created the artwork for the albums and the record labels, and I think we pulled that off pretty well.
You did. I love the one that looked like that house where the horrible thing happened.
Original.
Yeah.
I'm going to enter all those records onto Discogs so people think they're real. That's my next.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We should.
Yeah.
I noticed someone in the chat earlier mentioned that they had sounds to make you shiver from when they were younger, and that's one of the first ones that you see on the bed next to Agatha. That's there was something that we used with that record. I remember, like we actually used that as like one of the props that's actually spinning for a while. Like that record got a lot of attention, or maybe she's cleaning it at some point. Yeah, I'm looking for mine too. Is there a
scroll on that one? I don't remember. That's a great one. It's a great one. I pulled one.
Yeah,
this is one that I had as a kid. I actually had this one.
That's a good one.
It's kind of silly, you know, but it's also amazing. And this was sort of an inspiration, you know, for a lot of.
Bradley, did you know that there are two?
Oh my gosh! Nice.
There are two different versions, though. And
are there? Are
yeah.
there really?
Okay.
There's two, like this one. See, like, there's the cover, and then you flip it over, and there's the cover again.
Oh wow! I don't have that one.
And the audio
is it different?
Yeah, the audio productions are all a little bit different.
No way!
Mm-hmm.
I've got to find it now.
I know.
Okay.
I'll rip it for you and send it to you. I think I have an audio rip of it.
Wow.
I pulled out all my Halloween haunted house records during the break, and this is another one I think I saw in there. Didn't you guys have this one in there too?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Right here. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And this one was one that I discovered on that music blog. And the stories on this are so good.
Oh
You
my
guys
god,
have this one?
That's the one I just.
This is
Okay.
awesome.
Do you have an alternate one, Bill? Is
No.
there? Okay.
No, I think that what you see is what you get with
Okay.
scary.
Well, I
spooky
love this
stories.
one so much. And
Yeah,
that-
there's a little clip of a story that begins when we first see Agatha's house at night, like after the wake, and she's been listening to records, and I'm trying to impersonate the guy who's reading the first story on that record because he
what's
said
his name? Did we ever find out his name?
I forget, but he
It's
also
very
reads on
distinct
another one that
voice,
has like a
right.
haunted house on it. Yeah, but he reads on like a few different scary story records that are put
Does.
out by whatever label that is. I forget which label put that one out. Yeah.
No, I remember when you recorded that, and I was like, "This is strange. What is he doing? This reading?" And
Right.
it took a minute for me to figure out. Oh, okay. He's kind of that one too.
I love
had that one
it.
as
This
a
is
kid.
totally unplanned. We
I
didn't
know,
talk
yeah, it's
about
almost
this
like a game.
beforehand.
Oh, someone's talking about the Basil Rathbone poem.
Oh, that's a good one too, Daryl.
Yeah, that is a
I
good
have
one.
the audio of that one.
Oh, shoot.
I didn't pull that one. I left those Inner Sanctum type records because I didn't think we would talk about
Oh wow.
Oh, you got great.
There's a Roddy McDowell reading H.P. Lovecraft one that's kind of similar to this, but it's apparently very rare, and the only ones that I've ever found have been like hundreds of dollars.
Mm.
I really want that one. See, I don't have that one.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I don't think I've ever seen that one.
This one has it's a really strange thing. It's like a bunch of it's like a vocal trio singing with an organ accompaniment, and it's all these traditional arrangement songs with Halloween lyrics, like as the witches go flying along.
It's like Halloween Weird Al.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then there's this spooky masterpiece, spooky sound effects.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
I don't think I'm familiar with that one either.
yeah. I've seen that one around, but I've not picked it up. I think I listened to it on YouTube, and it's kind of like homemade spooky sound effects. Yeah.
Yeah, they took it from this one, Chilling, Thrilling Sounds of the Haunted House.
Sure, yeah.
A lot of the
Got both
stuff
of
on
those.
that other sound effects records was just ripped from this, and then they manipulated it and slowed it down.
Mm-hmm.
It's super creepy. There's two versions of this too. Look, there's this one that's in white. One's orange and one's white.
Yeah, I've got those original too. I saw that they've recently reissued those also.
Oh, Daryl, I've got that one. Famous Monsters Speaks. I have that. That was one I had as a kid. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. The reading on here of Dracula is so good. It's so over the top.
It's terrifying.
Like, can you imagine some guy just in his basement doing this alone, like with like one lamp on, reading for like 20 minutes straight in this fake Dracula voice? It's incredible.
Uh-oh, Bradley has something.
Oh, I do. Now, Bill, do you have this one?
No. Oh, wait. Yeah, I do. I didn't bring that one in either.
Of course you do. This one is so odd. I love it, though.
Yeah. The cover is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's her name? Martha Wentworth as the old sea hag. Great stuff.
Yeah. That was a Scar Stuff album too. Most of these were.
Was this one? I don't remember this one.
I think that's the first place I heard it.
House one you're holding up, I had that.
Yeah, this is the second Walt Disney one. Then that other one, the first one, the one that's in orange and white, that's all totally different stuff. But the strange thing about that is there's only a couple horror tracks on it. The rest of it is just boring sound effects. This one is all horror from start to finish. And this is how obsessed I am.
That's a great one.
This is how obsessed I am. I had to have this too, which is
oh, how cool.
The cassette shrink wrapped in a 12-inch packaging. And for other marketing opportunities, there was this half card It
Oh,
was
that's
also
cool.
this was like has a thing you would like hang on
Wow.
a display.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. The orange tape is cool. Like the orange cassette.
Uh-huh.
That's really cool. I saw someone was asking or saying that they had like a sound effects record that had jack-o'-lantern on it. I don't know if it's this one,
Yes.
but that
Oh my
one's a good one.
God. I do not have that on vinyl.
And it's from the same people who brought you this schlock as well. Great
Yeah,
covers,
yeah.
really
artwork on
cool
that.
covers, but kind of middling content.
How about this one? Do you have one of these?
Oh, I almost got that one last year, but I forgot that I was watching it. I could have gotten it for $15 because it goes for quite a bit, and that is one of
Yeah.
my favorite. Like I think it's track 1 is one of my favorite Halloween cuts. The
HALLO.
oh no, maybe I'm thinking of something else. Like it's a later cut, but it's the one that's like you know, they just like redid
Everybody
that
up
one.
and do your
Do your
Halloween
Halloween
thing.
thing. Oh, that is so cool. And whoever's playing drums on it is like getting it. Like they got some like hit people to play on that one. That is such a cool track.
Wade Denning and Kay Land.
Yep, Wade Denning strikes again.
Well, Wade Denning did a lot of that stuff, like that famous ghost stories thing with the ghost rising up in front of the trees. That's Wade Denning.
Right.
A bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, and so is that one with the Dracula. It's called Monster Mash, but it has Dracula on it. That one,
yeah.
That's another Wade Denning one. And then there's this one that came out in the 80s where they just basically took side A of Ghost Stories and then side B of that Monster Mash record, and then they re-released it as this kind of cheap record. I'm trying to find it in my stash here. Halloween at Home.
Oh yeah. I
If you
just
have,
found a rip of that somewhere online. I don't have that.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I
Well,
love that 80s multicolored like
yeah,
thing
you
on the
can see
side.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like side A of one of those and side B of the other. It's the same thing. It's all
It
Wade
was
Denning
very
stuff.
Blondie Eat to the Beat, that cover.
Yeah, it is a cool cover.
Yeah.
But it was a bummer to like put it on and be like, this is the same ghost story that I heard.
Who had this one? It's like the book and record for the Haunted
Oh.
Mansion.
No.
Oh wow.
No, I've never seen that. That's awesome.
It's pretty amazing. It has two of those chilling, thrilling sounds of the haunted house cuts on the back of it, on the flip side. I have the one I wanted to show you were the ones that were cut off of Alphabet's cereal box. I have all of those, and I can't find them for some reason. I think
like those like flexi disc ones.
Yeah,
those are cool.
I have a bunch of the flexi discs. This is the only one I could find. This flexi disc, Whiskers in the Haunted House, a record of scary sound.
Wow.
This one is sort of like a joke between Bradley and I because it's not super great, but I love it because it's not that great. It was on A&M Records. Yeah, exactly. Yep. This is a great one.
Yeah, we've all got that one.
Yeah. It's
too.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, for the Transformers fans, there's Peter Cullen does does a voice on it for just a little bit. Voice
That's
of Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the that BBC record that has all of the sound effects on it. If you ever find that one, you'll pull it all together there. And then they made a follow-up that's like they kind of created scenes based on all of those individual tracks from the last one, and that's on this one. Both very cool.
Mine doesn't have a cover because obviously it came from the library. That's what it is, though. It's one of those BBC death and horror discs.
Yeah, that's. And yeah, I just found my 2 Haunted House.
Oh
my God! Yeah, there they are.
Yeah.
Okay, show and tell almost over. Oh, I can't. I pulled these, so I have to show them.
Yeah.
These are Peter Pan Records would put out these things that were like kind of like surf rock monster instrumentals by Frankie Stein and his Ghouls. And every once in a while there'd be one like Dinner with Drac is an actual cover version by somebody else, but the remaining 3 tracks are Frankie Stein and his Ghouls, which they put out a bunch of records in the, I guess it was the 60s. And it's all this surf rock instrumentals with screams and monster sounds over them. They all have ghoulish sounding names like Swinging Head, and it's awesome. Go check it out.
Yeah, it's a really unique. So like all of these records got me, and you know, making all of this sounds and stuff for the movie got me into this big hole of just like Halloween audio, and there's such like a deep well of Halloween novelty songs and monster novelty songs. It's pretty interesting how this thing like exists beyond just like the holiday. You know, like there's a lot of holiday music like for Christmas, but like for Halloween, it's like this stuff that kind of like there's a small amount of people that are into it like all year round. And yeah, there's so many CDs and compilations with like endless music. I always thought it was just limited to like Monster Mash, you know, or like at least like just that album, but like there's so much more. And it's all bizarre, which is great. Like I love listening to it. It also has a certain sound that really pleases me.
So, anything else we want to say about 13 tracks before we move on to our second feature of the evening, The Severed Arm?
I'm just impressed that you guys were able to coordinate your records to pop up on screen at the same time. I have to say that was pretty amazing. That was pretty awesome. So I'm sure that'll make the highlights this week, though.
Possibly.
Yeah.
It could be the best thing that's happened on the show in many, many, many months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything more to say. I'm very grateful. You know, I'm watching this and thinking, wow, you know, what a great experience. It was a very positive experience. And I know a lot of people who make, you know, micro budget movies, you know, they have a lot of problems. We had a very charmed production, and it was just great working with all these talented people. And we had we had an extended post-production, which was bothersome. You know, it was a couple years, but we finished it. But my ultimate takeaway from it was that it was just a very positive experience, and I enjoyed watching it with you know, like-minded people who you know, like these kinds of films. So
yeah, there's some really great comments in the chat. So people really
and now everyone's frozen.
Authentically loved it. So that's great.
Mike admitted that he would have said he loved it anyway, but yeah, he really did love it.
Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate watching it, and I'm looking forward to making another one with Andy. So
yeah, and it's on the on the internet now that there is a movie you're working on that's in pre-production. So
right,
I was just about to ask you. Why don't you tell? Can you tell us about it, or is the title the only?
It's the title is Occult Canvas, and it's another project about art from the past, sort of affecting things in the present, and it takes a cue from Night Gallery and TV movies from the early 70s. There's an aesthetic from early 70s television horror that's Dan Curtis and things like that that will sort of imbue this new project. So
I'm feeling faint just hearing you say that.
Yeah, I'm beyond excited just hearing some of those references. So that's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I recently read the script, this first draft of the script, and I didn't really know what to expect going into it. I was thinking I hope it's not just like Agatha with TV movies and Night Gallery.
Right.
And it was not what I expected. It's a totally different kind of action, and I think people will dig it. I'm excited to see it come to life.
I'm sorry, I thought I muted my microphone when I opened that can. I didn't.
Sounds like you're ready to party, that's all.
Circle of Fear, Ghost Story. Yeah, those are references, and yeah, right. What else? What other anthologies? Mainly Night Gallery, and just the look of Night Gallery, and the promise of Night Gallery, which it rarely delivered, but there's a feeling of Night Gallery that, I always, I'm hopeful that when I watch the episodes again, and I take something away from them every time I watch them, but they're not, they're very uneven. But
I did the whole series on the site this year, and it's like when they are the Rod Serling ones, by and large, they're pretty great.
Right.
But when you get into the blackout ones and the comedy ones, you're like, what? These two things do not go together.
Hard to watch. Right.
Yeah.
I remember Tales of the Unexpected. That was a great anthology show too.
Right. Yeah. Syndicated, like late UHF stuff.
Yeah. It was a British show, and the BBC produced stuff had this really hard-edged video look to it. It always seemed very alien when they showed it on American TV, because so little, even our shot on video stuff didn't look like that.
And Beck and I watched all of Circle of Fear this summer, and we were like shocked because we had never watched it before, and we were like, this show's really good. Like, maybe it's not talked about like Night Gallery, but maybe quality-wise, maybe there's less episodes, but it's not as uneven sometimes.
Those are fun, right? Those are fun.
Yeah. But then again, Night Gallery has like, Night Gallery has the Sin Eater and like Cool Air and a couple that are so good that you forget the ones that are bad. You know what I mean? Right. So that's like, there's some that are like the best horror that's ever been on TV. So it's kind of like, I can forgive this a little bit. Except for like when you're like, oh, it's a blood bank, and Dracula works at a blood bank. I get it. Thank God that was only 3 minutes long. Yeah. That would have been my worry. Like, it's like Night Gallery, and then it's just like a 3-minute movie that you've made.
Oh, right. Dark Room. I forgot all about Dark Room, Vince. Yeah.
Becca loves Monsters and Tales from the Dark Side too, which is a bit later, but she's really into those as well.
I have not seen Hobbs and Shaw, Steve, but thank you. Hobbs and Shaw, is that one of the offshoots of Fast and Furious? Is that? Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, it's the one with I think it's the one with The Rock and Jason Statham.
Nora, I prefer The Outer Limits over Twilight Zone, and I know that's,
Whoa.
Not everyone will agree, but the Outer Limits, the Outer Limits episodes were like little movies,
Yeah.
They felt like fully realized 1-hour movies. I loved those, and they were scary.
It has the greatest beginning too with them. When I was a kid and the We Now Control Your TV started, that freaked me out so bad as a kid. Yeah, it's a really great beginning.
So you guys selected our second film of the evening, The Severed Arm.
We did select The Severed Arm for one really great reason, and that's it's. I like the movie. I think it's really entertaining, but it has a terrific score by. How do we decide how to pronounce his name? Philin Bishop. He's the same guy who did the soundtrack to Messiah of Evil, which I love that soundtrack. And this score is even better, and it sounds it's very much a companion piece to what he did for Messiah of Evil, and it makes the film better. It's an engaging movie, but it becomes a horror film with this great electronic score that's gets under your skin and makes everything uncomfortable, and I'm a big fan of the score.
Yeah, and this is something that Bradley hit me too also. So Bradley and I connected early on, like on a personal level, through Messiah of Evil. At the time he was writing a piece for Fangoria, and I was like, I watched that movie all the time when I was in college. I had this really bad print of it on like a 3-disc set of like undead movies. I would watch it and it was all red and scratched up, and it just was like the perfect vibe. but I loved hearing the music in that. And he's like, "Oh, you should check out this movie because the same guy did it." And he lent me the Blu-ray, or the DVD. I forget like what it's on. But when Agatha premiered at Texas Frightmare, I brought that. I brought Bradley's copy back home with me to Portland and watched that. And I always have the Severed Arms score on YouTube. There's a rip of it. I always have that tab open and just revisit it, now and then, because it is very cool. If you're a fan of like Mort Garson or any of the old like Moog records, it's very very of that world, but it's just darker because it's in a horror movie. But as far as like the synthesis is concerned, like if you're into like actually like the act of synthesizing, there are a lot of really cool sounds in it.
Have you ever seen Beware the Blob?
Yeah, once a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
Ports did the soundtrack.
Yeah, that has a great Mort Garson score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
that crazy
especially the older synths too. It's like there's so much more work of like getting the sound that you want. Where you always look at those old pictures and there's wires everywhere and and things going out. Versus now it's like, oh, I'll just put this filter on or I'll flip it. You know what I mean? It seems like so much easier now, at least to me. Than when you see how these things are very organic in the past.
Right. Yeah. Like I would be interested to learn what Phil and Bishop was working with, because it doesn't sound fully like Moog stuff. It sounds like it could have been some ARP or like synthy stuff, EMS synthy stuff. And I know that I've submitted a request to Bradley to ask Orville Stober what he was using on Let's Scare Jessica to Death, because there's one thing that sounds like a mini Moog, but other stuff is really sequenced. And at that time, there were only so many Moog things in production. It would have been like giant modules. Yeah, I'll have to report back in a special segment in the next episode.
Soundtrack, Sean?
I think it was Ken Wiederhorn.
Well,
No, Richard Einhorn. Richard Einhorn, the guy who did the soundtrack for The Prowler.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he did.
I vaguely remember the Shockwave soundtrack. Have you seen that, Andy? Shockwaves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I'd have to watch it again. I don't remember the music that well, but
the music's beautiful.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like, go ahead.
Yeah, it was kind of in a time though where like it had been pretty established that like electronic music or like synthesizers were probably going to be used, so like I know that when I watched it, I wasn't paying as close attention to it as I would now.
Yeah, I really love that low tech synth sound. It lends a certain atmosphere to these films. I think Bradley said that earlier about how like something was scarier with the synthy sounds in it, and it's just it's an otherworldly thing. At least now everybody's sort of desensitized to synths, and it's just expected that you might not be hearing the actual instruments. But those early synth records, they weren't actually trying to imitate anything. They were their own instruments, and they brought their own tone to everything that where they were used. And that's what I love about them so much.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons that we wanted to do like more like real instrumentation for the Agatha scored pieces. It's not a whole lot of scenes, but where that does come up, it was like I mean, the year that we were working on it was like kind of the height of like the Stranger Things soundtrack being in popular culture. So it was like, I definitely don't want to, lean into that as much as I love Moog. I mean, I have 4 Moog units behind me, a couple off camera. Like I'm very much into that stuff, but yeah, like when it was new, I mean, like the Let's Scare Jessica to Death soundtrack, I learned that was one of the earlier uses of electronic elements in a soundtrack. That time using it gives everything a totally different dimension and a different feel.
It's I was reading about when the Forbidden Planet soundtrack came out, because they had to build all of the machines that kind of made those sounds, the whirs and stuff. They weren't even allowed to call it electronic a score. They had to call it electronic tonalities due to a fight with the musicians unit. because the people that did it weren't necessarily musicians. They used articles from a cybernetics book to make those noises.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty amazing. You have it, yeah.
Yeah, on this record too. This is another a BB and Luis Barron thing that they did, and they call it something else on it. They call it sorry, I got to pull out the record to see it because it's on the center label that they call it maybe cybernetic music. I think is what they are credited.
It's wild because they didn't even release Forbidden Planet on vinyl till '76, like years after it was out.
Yeah, they call it cybernetic music by Luis and BB Barron. Interesting.
Yeah, they built like all the circuits for it. Like it's like it was as much a scientific project as a music project when they did the
Right.
Yeah. I thought that was amazing because like people were upset that it was like, well, musicians are going to lose their jobs because these guys are doing what they're doing on this soundtrack.
Oh, but then you think about how they had to do everything individually, like track by track, to be able to create these like larger scores. Like it's so much faster to just get musicians in, and probably about the same amount of cost to get a session orchestra or something like that in, or even just a band to come in and do it all at once.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I've never seen The Severed Arm before, so I'm super excited to see it.
The Severed Arm. This movie's from 1973. And it played with a couple of other movies, including The Killing Kind. I don't know how you guys feel about The Killing Kind.
I don't think I've seen The Killing Kind.
I have seen The Killing Kind. That's pretty great. So,
that's the one with Troy Donahue, isn't it?
Yeah. I just saw it this summer for the first time. I really dug it.
It's one of those creepy 70s things that you're going to love, Bradley.
I love The Severed Arm.
Oh, really? Should I write that down? Killing Kind?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like The Severed Arms somewhat. It looks very Hitchcocky, like the type on the arm. You know what I mean? Like it's very similar.
There's a great beard in this movie too. That may or may not be real. I can't determine.
No, I was mistaken. Troy Donahue is not in The Killing Kind. The Killing Kind has Ruth Roman and John Savage.
From The Baby.
Cindy Williams is also in it.
Wow.
Probably the year after she did Beware the Blob.
I was going to say, you mean Cindy Williams from Beware the Blob? Not Cindy Williams from
That's Cindy Williams.
Oh, Bill, I love this double feature, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
I was just talking about Rico the other day.
Isn't that the movie that played as Cauldron of Death?
Yep.
In the States for some reason.
Barbara Boucher's in it. That's how I know, yeah. Wow. What a weird picture to pick for it. Like, people are like, fuck yeah, Christopher Mitchell.
Wow.
Blazing new star, Chris Mitchell.
Well, it worked for Travolta.
Yeah. Well, after he met Anton LaVey, but we know how that. I'm just kidding.
Gladys Knight in Pipe Dreams.
Pipe Dreams. I have that soundtrack. I have the vinyl, but I've never seen the movie.
Where do you guys find these clippings? Maybe this is like kind of a newbie green question to ask, but yeah, like with this and with the Haunt zine, where do you find all of these clippings?
They follow me home.
They just are attracted to you.
I can't get rid of them, so I get them out into the world.
I loved seeing the mini page clippings in the last Haunt. That warmed my heart.
The what?
The clippings from the mini page.
Oh yeah, all the games and puzzles.
I used to read the mini page a lot.
Yeah, me too. It was always really exciting when Halloween came around, just because of that. I would anyway. I was always looking in the supermarket ads to see if they'd have witches and ghosts and stuff in there. And then I got a life. Sort of.
Now you're looking for the severed arm.
I've come full circle. Yeah, I'm back to cutting out things from the newspaper. So since neither Sam nor I have seen the severed arm,
Wow.
maybe,
Just shocked.
maybe you guys can shed some light on it before we watch the movie.
Well, it has it's a revenge flick, and it has notes of My Bloody Valentine. It's
Yeah, there's almost like this like thriller aspect to it. I know when I first watched it, that was what I felt, was that it was more of like this revenge film that was pushed as a horror film. But yeah, with the addition of the score, it really feels tense. Like there's some supernatural element to it, and it almost feels like they kind of hint at that throughout. Like maybe this is something that it might be more than human. But as you see it play out, you can determine that for yourself.
it's best to let the film reveal itself.
Yeah.
Sean said it. Better go in blind. I think that's a good.
You don't want to oversell the severed arm.
Again,
right.
Deborah Wally is in this, and she looks completely. I did not recognize her when I first saw the movie. I'm a fan of her, AIP, the Beach Blanket Bingo stuff that she did. It's very different in this movie. So it's a dramatic role for her. So
It sounds like somebody's being attacked. Which one of you is it?
That was probably our basset hounds clicking around upstairs. It's treat time.
Good doggy. All right, so let's do the cocktail for the segment before I totally forget.
Back again.
It's the cave-in cannibal. If you lose your arm, this is what you drink to get over it. And this got
Get over it.
Get over it. Got an ounce of amaretto, an ounce of high proof rum, an ounce of peach schnapps, a half an ounce of Southern Comfort, 2 ounces of cranberry juice, and a delicate splash of orange juice. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Tell Cubbies I can't put the orange juice in.
Don't do anything delicate.
Don't do anything delicate. Here's all the alcohol. Becca said, "This is a strong drink." I said, "I lost my arm in a cave-in." People ate it because they were hungry, and I don't know if I can get over it. Spoiler for the next movie.
Just pouring that all into a cup.
All into a cup, and then we're gonna stir up with this new combination spoon muddler that my wife bought me for the show, which is super exciting. And once you have that stirred up enough, you're gonna take your spoon out, and then you're gonna give it a little splash.
Okay.
There we go. It's nice, kind of like a tequila sunrise.
Mm-mm.
It's
Bazooz.
Oh, I forgot to say it on the last one. Bazooza.
You're losing your touch.
Losing my religion. Wow, that is awesome. Holy cow, that drink is awesome. It's because it's so filled with alcohol. It's like Saturday at 11 in the morning. This is how I'm going to start my day. I'm like, maybe I should cut the grass and be in a cave-in.
Then you'll have a severed arm.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I should put my arm like Dracula, hound of Dracula's dog, like Richard Crenna, put my hand into the lawnmower. That's what I should do.
Cub said, don't do it.
Don't do it. Drugs, don't do it. Bazuzu.
Bazuzu. This is to the
There were
severed
20
arm.
movie references in a row at the end. I really kind of overdid it, but it's okay.
I like the Eagles reference.
Yeah. We sing that to each other all the time. My wife, anytime somebody does something bad, Becca will go, get over it. I just go, get over it. My brother started it.
Ugh.
It is a Monongahela movie. That's what this drink is.
I'm really excited to watch this movie, so why don't we just get to it?
Yeah. It'll be fun watching it with everybody.
Are there any other first timers before we get in the minute before we get in? Let me know.
Looks like a lot of people have seen it in the talkbacks.
Yeah. Steve, thanks for sharing the recipe in the chat too. I appreciate you doing that every week. Thank you.
Steve's going to be on the show next weekend.
I know. I'm excited.
Cool. Cool. What are the movies next weekend?
Well, we haven't announced it yet. It's a late movie.
Oh.
It's just going to be
Okay.
one movie.
Okay.
And,
When we come back for the next segment, we'll show the trailer.
All right.
Bill, do
we
you
should
want to
give a
tease
hint.
it?
Yeah. Well, this movie it's a black and white film from the 60s, first of all. And it's an imitation of a really big hit from the early 60s. And it's got its own sort of twist on a familiar theme. That's all I'll say. Sam, what about you?
Yeah, anything else? It's this is all giveaways if I say it. I'll just say it. The person responsible for it, none of the actors, the person responsible for the movie had his own fan club. Yeah, that's probably going to give it away.
Interesting.
All right.
Yeah. So super excited.
Yeah.
It's not Gamera. Tracy, great guess. I wish it's Gamera with 2 M's, the American Gamera. I just realized that the American cut of Gamera spells his name wrong. I just watched it the other day. I'm like, what? I was like, nerd rage. They spelled Gamera's name wrong? No, that was AIP. They handled it.
It's camera with a G, isn't it?
Yeah. Gamera.
The Severed Arm. It's on Tubi. There's a link on Groovy Doom. And go watch it. Come back and we'll have lots more to talk about on the Drive-In Asylum double feature. See you then.